Verzeo. Learn here, lead anywhere. Subscribe to our Verzeo channel and tap the bell icon to receive all notifications. Download the Verzeo app and get free content access.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Versio. Welcome to the series of the webinars that we have started on 20th February, right up to leading to the International Women's Day. Today, we are talking about age of AI. I believe our mentor and the host for today, Mr. Smith Shah, is online. Welcome, Smith. Hi, am I audible? We shall wait for another 3 to 4 minutes for more people to join in. There's a really good number that's building up. I hope more would come in the meantime.
Hello. Am I audible, guys? Can you see the screen? Can you hear me?
Yes, Smith, you
Yes.
are audible, and yes,
Okay.
your screen is also visible.
All right.
Welcome. I'm sorry, I believe you were not able to hear me a little
No,
before,
no,
is
I
it?
was able to hear you. Actually, I was speaking. I guess there was my issue. There was some issue with my mic, so I was.
Okay. All right. We'll wait for about 2 minutes and then we'll formally begin with it. And
All
I'll
right.
introduce and then we can start off with it. Just another 2 minutes. We'll wait for more people to come in. As I see, still we have some people joining in.
All right. Perfect.
Right? Okay. Yeah.
All right. So Darshan has asked the question: is this related to our AI class? Darshan, are you from the AI batch? I think I remember you. Are you from our AI batch? Yes, right. Okay. Huh. So this is not related to that. There's a separate webinar. But yes, I think in your batch we have already covered that introductory lecture, right? So the same thing we'll be covering over here only. So yes, I think we have some students that are already part of our previous batches. But fine. So this is a separate thing. This is not related to your batch. So your batch's session will start after 7. Okay, Darshan. This is a separate
Yeah.
batch.
So once again, good evening to everybody. I welcome you to the session that we have today organized, that is Age of AI, where we have Mr. Smith Shah, who will be talking to us about what its relevance is, how is it used, how is it working, and what's the relevance. Let me tell you a little bit more about Smith before we begin our session for today. Um, Smith is a certified data scientist with a history of working in the information technology and services industry. He started his career as an associate software engineer at Accenture. He is skilled in data science, machine learning, deep learning, and computer vision. And he's a strong engineering professional with a background of a Bachelor of Technology in Computer Science from Narsi Monji Institute of Management Studies. Presently, he is an AI developer at Ample.ai and is a AI and machine learning tutor at various edtech firms, including our own Versio. So, like you would have heard, probably he mentioning for the other batches and stuff. So that's probably because why he's the mentor at Versio itself for the classes that are conducted here. Um, Glad to have you here, Smith, once again. I hope we can really have a great session today, and all the best. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Pratik. All right. So let us go ahead. As Pratik already introduced me, so I work in my own company. It's called Ample.ai. Okay, where we are building an AutoML platform. So fine. So now that the introduction is over, let us go ahead and let us learn about it. So what we'll do is today we'll just learn the basics concepts related to AI. And if you have any doubts, anything related to what I'm teaching, you can ping me in the chat. Only if your doubt is clear, then only we'll proceed ahead. Okay, fine. So that is how we'll go ahead. So the field of AI consists of two subfields, machine learning and deep learning, right? So I think machine learning and deep learning you have probably heard in media, right? Perhaps how machine learning algorithms have beaten humans at complex games like chess, Go, and StarCraft, or the way that machine learning and deep learning can be used to provide better medical diagnoses and treatments, or that you are using technology with machine learning daily from intelligent assistants to different apps on your phone. So the field of artificial intelligence is impacting a diverse range of domains, such as medicine, marketing, HR, and even art. From self-driving cars to believable fakes, artificial intelligence has implications for the future of a society and how we function. So what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and learn about the basic concepts related to AI. So the field of AI consists of two subfields, as I said. What are they? If you paid attention, what were these two subfields, guys, that I mentioned earlier? Anybody remembers the two subfields? You can ping me in the chat. What were they? AI is composed of two subfields, machine learning and deep learning, right? So these are the two subfields, machine learning and deep learning. So what we'll do is we'll just learn the basic concepts regarding to AI. All right. So first, before learning about this AI, basically it consists of what? As you know, it consists of two subfields. With this, what do? We make models. What is a model? Basically, a model is a statistical representation of a real world process. What do I mean by it? What I mean is basically we pass our data to the model. The model consists of some statistical representation. That means consists of some math formulas. Okay, so when we'll pass our data to that model, it will use the math formulas in order to do our task. So using the model, what can we do? The model is basically used to do two things. First is that it is used to make future predictions. Like for example, I want to predict what will be the temperature after 2 days, whether it will rain or not after 10 days. Okay. So the first thing that a model is used for is for prediction. The second thing that a model is used for is for getting insights about this data. Okay, so these are the two things that are used for. So what is the first thing, guys? What is the first thing that a model is used for? Basically, a model is a statistical representation of a real world process. That means we pass some data into the model. It has some statistics. That means it has some formulas. Using that formulas, it does a task. So it does two tasks. First is there are two usages of this model. Okay. What is the first? In order to do some future predictions. And what is the second? The second is to get some insights from the data. Okay, the second is to get some insights from the data. So now that we have learned this, let us go ahead. So by explaining this, right, while explaining the usages and all, we talked about one important thing, which is the data. So let us understand this data. Only if we understand this data, we will know how that model will use our data. Okay, so let us understand this data. So suppose we have a data table over here. What I will do is I will just make a data table. Let's say we have a data table wherein I have two columns in that table. So I have, let's say, something like square feet and price. Okay, I have square feet and price. Now over here, let's say I am saying I have 4 rows in this table. In the first row, I have 100 square feet. So suppose if there is a flat which is having 100 square feet, the price of the flat is 1 lakh. Then there is another flat which is 200 square feet. The price of the flat is 2 lakh. Then there is a third flat which is having a square feet of 300 and the price of that flat is 3 lakh. Then there is a fourth flat having a square feet of 400 and the price of that flat is 4 lakh. Okay, so suppose this is the data table that we have. Now in order to understand this more better, let us go ahead and let us review the parts of this data. Okay, so over here, see, my data table can have many columns. Okay, so these columns are of two types. The columns are of two types. What are they? Let us see them. So the first type of a column is called features. Okay, so we have feature columns as well as we have target column. So what is the difference between them? So I'm saying I have a data table, right? And in a data table, I will have many columns, right? So the columns are of two types, features and target. Now features are those columns that help me to predict. Okay. So features are those columns that help me to predict. Whereas a target is that column that I want to predict. Okay. So I'm saying I have a data table. In a data table, I could have many columns. Now the columns are of two types, features and targets. The features are those columns that help me to predict, and the target is that column that I want to predict. So let's say that I want to predict the price column. Since I want to predict the price column, guys, will it be my feature or will it be my target? Since I want to predict the price column, will it be my feature or will it be my target? What will it be? Which type of a column will it be? Any guesses? So over here, Shreyas and what is her name? Vedant, right? Okay, Shreyas, and there was another student who said that since I want to predict the price column, it is a target column. Even Rajni says that, even Kiran says that since I want to predict the price column, it is my target column. And will the square feet help to predict price? Will the square feet help to predict price? Yes, right? So that means those columns that help me to predict are called what? Feature columns. So your square feet will be my feature column. As Sarda says, the price column is my target column, whereas the square feet column is my feature column. Okay, fine. So up till now, what have we reviewed? We have seen that the field of AI is composed of two subfields, machine learning and deep learning. Basically, what do? They are used to do modeling. They are used to do modeling. And when I say modeling, then what are the two usage for modeling? The first usage is modeling is used in order to predict something. Okay, let's say I want to predict the future temperature or so on. Okay, so the first usage of this modeling is in order to predict something. The second usage is in order to get insights from the data. So those are the two reasons why we use modeling. Okay, now in order to go deep into modeling, we first thought that it is better to talk about the data. So right, when we have a data, it can contain many columns, and there are two types of columns: feature columns and target columns. Feature columns are those that help me to predict, and the target column is that column that I want to predict. Fine. So now that we have reviewed this, let us go ahead. So here I will just erase this and we'll go ahead. Or fine, I should not erase this. I'll just make another window. All right. So we have discussed about the data, right? Now let us discuss about the model. So the model will use this data in order to do its task. And there are only two tasks that a model does, as we have discussed. Fine. So there are two types of models, guys. There are two types of models. Okay, 1 second. Pratik says, okay, fine. Pratik has given a link. You can review it. Fine. So we were talking about modeling, right? So basically, a model uses some data to do some tasks. There are two tasks that it does. So let us discuss the types of models. So we have two types of models, guys. Okay, we have two types of models. Over here, we have something called supervised, and then we have unsupervised. Okay, supervised and unsupervised. So what is the difference between them? What is the difference between supervised and unsupervised? So supervised contains features and target both. Okay, so supervised contains features and target both, whereas unsupervised learning only contains features. Okay, it does not contain your target column. So I am saying that, okay, a model uses data to perform two things. First, it helps us to predict something, and the second it is helps us to get insights about the data. Fine, so model uses the data to do these tasks. But what are the types of models? So there are two major types of models: supervised learning and unsupervised learning model. Okay, what is a supervised learning model? A model is using data that has features and target both, then that model will be called a supervised learning model. On the other hand, if a model uses data that only contains features, it does not have my target column, then that model will be called a unsupervised learning model. Okay. So now that we have discussed it, let us go ahead. Is there any other type? There are other types. So there are other types called reinforcement learning, but it is mostly related to robotics. But these are the two major types. Okay. There are other types of models that are upcoming, but these are the two major types of models that are used in the industry. 99% of what you see in the AI industry revolves around these two types only. And there are other types, yes. So as the AI field gets more and more evolved, you will see other types coming in. But these are the two major types. 99% of what you see in the field of AI revolves around these two types. Fine. So now that we have seen this, let us go ahead. So we have discussed about the two types of the model. Now let us go ahead and let us talk about what is the process of building a model. Okay, what is the process? So the first step over here is to extract features. See, features are not available readily. Okay, just Okay, so suppose I have a data set wherein I know my target column. It does not mean that all the other columns are my features. There could be some columns that do not help in predicting the target. So the first step is extracting the correct features from a model. So the first step is to extract features. Okay. What is the second step? The second step is to split the data set into two, training and testing. Split the data set into two, training and testing data sets. Why do we do this? We'll also review the reason behind it. Split the data set into training data set. Okay, the first type is training data set and the second type is testing data set. So we'll split the data set into two parts, training and testing. Now let us go to the third step. We'll review the reason behind this, okay, just in 2 minutes. Till then, I'll just write these steps. There are 4 steps in total. First is extract features. Second is split the data set into two, training and testing. Third is train the model. Third is train the model on the training data set. Train the model on the training data set. And the fourth is test the model on the testing data set. Okay, so these are the 4 steps. So I'll just write them and then we'll review the reason behind it. So the fourth step is test the model on the testing data set. Test the model on the testing data set. Fine. So here we go. I have listed down the steps that you need to do in order to build your model. Okay. So the first step is extracting features. Why do we do this? Well, this is because features do not come readily available to us. Just because we have a data set and we have a target column known, okay, does not mean that the rest of the columns will be my features. No. There could be some columns that do not help in predicting the target. So we have to find the correct features for a model. That is the first step. The second step that I have written is we need to split the data set into two parts, training and testing. So let us see the reason behind this. Okay, so I'll just open up another window. So let's say some question and answers. Okay, I have a textbook based on quantum computing. Let's say quantum theory, whatever. Quantum theory. Okay, I have a textbook on quantum theory. So let's say in that textbook, I have 4 MCQs. Okay, so I have a MCQ1. So I have a question of that MCQ, and I also have the answer marked of that MCQ. In that textbook only, I have question 1 and answer provided. Then I have question 2, and also I have provided the answer for that second MCQ. Then I have the third MCQ question. I have also provided the answer of that MCQ question in the textbook. Then I have a fourth MCQ question and I have also provided the answer of that MCQ question. Fine. So now we need to build a question paper, guys. Okay, we need to build a question paper. We need to test the student. So should I pass a MCQ question that is inside of the textbook, or should I pass a MCQ question that is outside of the textbook in order to better test the student? What should I do? Akhil says outside, right? So over here, Akhil Pandit says that we should pass a question that is outside of the textbook so that we can better test the student. Fine. So as per Akhil's suggestion, I will pass a question that is outside of the textbook. So I will pass something like question 5. Is this question 5, to the student, it will be as if it is outside of the textbook, right? Because the student has not seen this question 5 at all. Right, and the student will give some answer. The student will give answer, so it will be student answer 5. Fine. Now you are supposed to test. Let's say over here, Akhil is supposed to test the paper. So Akhil and other students, let's say you are supposed to test. Do you know anything about quantum theory? Do you know anything about quantum theory? Do we? Even I don't know anything about quantum theory. So over here, will we be able to test? Will we be able to check if the student's answer is right or wrong? Is there any way we can check? Veda says no, Akhil says no. There is no way we can check. Okay, if I am supposed to check this paper, check the answer sheet, I am not able to check whether the student's answer is right or wrong. So obviously this approach is not good. So what can I do over here? So what approach I will take is I will just blur some question and answers out. Let's say in this case, I am only blurring one question and answer out. Okay, I'm only blurring one question and answer. Shreyas says, would it be better if we give mixed questions? Mixed as in some from inside and some from outside, are you saying? Yes, mixed. But Shreyas, in that case, still you are passing questions that is inside. And can I say if you pass a MCQ question that is inside of the textbook, isn't it? I mean, even a student who does not know a concept, even he will be able, if I have suppose he has mucked up the answer. I mean, even he will be able to perform very well on that test, right? So if you are passing some questions that are inside of the textbook, even a student who has still not understood the concept, but he has just marked up, even he will be able to answer the question. So isn't that a problem or not? I want to I want to correctly test someone. So in that case, I will never ever pass a question that is inside of the textbook. Okay, because it will be too easy for the student, right? So that is why I will only ask questions that are outside of the textbook. So let us see what we could do here. What is the approach we could do? So earlier we passed the question outside of the textbook. The student gave an answer, but we are not able to check if that student's answer is right or wrong. So what I will do is when I am giving the textbook to the student at the starting of the year, what I will do is I will blur some of the question and answers out. In this case, I am only blurring one question and answer out. Now, if I pass question 4 in the exam, if I ask this question in the exam to the student, will he feel as if it is outside of the textbook? Yes. Will he feel that it is outside of the textbook? Yes, right? Because the student has not seen question 4 in the exam. So the student will feel that it is outside of the textbook. Now the student will give an answer. Student answer 4. Now guys, even though we do not know anything about quantum theory, still, can we cross check with the original MCQ answer or not? That if this answer is correct, even though we do not know anything, still we'll be able to check the answer or not. Yes, Sarada says that we can. And yes, we will be able to do that. So even though we do not know anything about quantum theory, still we'll be able to validate the answer, whether student's answer matches with the original MCQ answer or not. So the same thinking will apply in a model also. So let's say over here I have a data table wherein I have 2 columns, square feet and price, right? And I have 4 rows, let's say. So for 100 square feet flat, the price is 1 lakh. For a 200 square feet flat, the price is 2 lakh. For a 300 square feet flat, the price is 3 lakh. And for a 400 square feet flat, the price is 4 lakh. Now what I will do over here, just like in the case of my textbook, I blurred some of the question and answers out. Here in case of a data table, I will blur some of the rows out. In this case, I will just blur one row, but you can blur any number of rows. So let's say I will blur this row out. So these blurred rows are part of my testing data set, because see earlier also based on this blurred question and answer only, you tested the student. So this is your testing set. Okay. And this is the set on which the student trained. This is the set of question and answers on which the student trained. So this is your training set. And the below one, the blurred question answer was your testing set. Similarly over here, the blurred row is your testing set, and the non-blurred rows are part of your training set. Okay, so we'll train the model on this training set and we'll test the model on the testing set. So when the chance of testing will come, we'll say that, okay, your training is done. Now model, tell me, according to your train, according to what you have learned, if we have a 400 square feet flat, what will be the price of a house? So the model will say, model could say something like 4.2 lakh, right? Now we know the original answer that for 400 square feet, the price of a house is 4 lakh. The model is predicting 4.2. So we'll know what error my model is doing, or is the model performing very well? Is the model not performing too well? We'll be able to know that. So there's the reason behind splitting. Okay, so that is why we split a data set into 2 parts, training and testing. Okay, once we split, then we go to our third step where we'll train the model on the training data set, and then we'll test the model on the testing data set. So these are our steps. Are these steps clear? Is the idea behind them clear? Crystal clear, guys? Made sense? No? Yes, Akash. Okay, fine, great. Yes, okay. Fine. Do you want me to make the chat public, or is this okay? Private, public? Should I make the chat public? Tell me whatever you're comfortable with. Do let me know. It's okay. Fine. Akash says public. Fine. I will make it public. All right. So you can communicate. Fine. So the chat will be visible to you, visible in public now. Fine. So let us go ahead. And now we have reviewed the steps as well. So what have we done? Let us revise it. So I said that the field of AI is composed of 2 subfields, machine learning and deep learning. In these subfields, what do? Basically, we make models. When I say make models, What does it do? A model takes data. But what is a model? A model is a statistical representation of a real world process. That means it takes data, it takes some data, okay, and it applies some formulas in order to do two things. First, you can use model to predict something. The second usage is you can use a model to get insights about the data. Fine. So we know that a model takes data and it does two tasks. The two tasks that I have mentioned just now. A model takes data and it does two tasks. So the over here the involvement of data is used, right? So we reviewed the data as well. So in data, the data that we are passing to the model, or the data that we are passing could have many columns. So there are two types of columns, feature columns and target column. A feature column is that column that will help me to predict. A target column is that column that I want to predict. Fine. So we know that a model takes some data and it does the two tasks. It could help us to predict or it could help us to get insights. Fine. Then we reviewed the types of models. So there are majorly two types of models, supervised learning and unsupervised learning. What is the difference between them, guys? Anyone can point out the difference? Anyone? What is the difference between supervised learning and unsupervised learning? What is it? Any difference? So Akash says that if we are making a model using data that has features and target both, then it is called a supervised learning model, right? As Akhil and Vidya Lakshmi have also mentioned, if we are making a model using a data set that has features and target both, then it will be called a supervised learning model. On the other hand, if I'm making a model using a data set that only contains features, it does not contain target, then that type of a model will be called unsupervised learning model, right? As Ramya also says, that type of a model will be called unsupervised learning model. Fine. So supervised contains features and target both. Unsupervised contains only features. All right. Now that we have seen this, let us go ahead. We also reviewed the steps in order to make this model, right? So there are 4 steps. First is extract features. Second is split the data set into 2 parts, training and testing. Third is train the model on the training data set. And fourth is test the model on the testing data set. Now that we have seen this, let us go ahead and let us talk about the performance. So if my performance of the model is bad, then I will have to make the model again. If my performance of the model is good, then I will accept. However, so over here, when I'm checking the performance over here, it could have overfitting as well as underfitting. So based on the performance, we can check whether a model is overfitting, whether a model is underfitting. What do I mean by that? Let us see. So when I'm checking the performance of a model, how to know how good the model is performing? Okay, so let us see that. So over here, in order to check the performance, we'll just take this analogy from Three Idiots. So we'll take 3 characters from Three Idiots. So we have over here Chatur, and then we have Rancho, and after that the third character that we have is Farhan, right? All right. So there are 2 kinds of performances, guys. The performance of the model on your training data. So we have 2 kinds of data set, right? On your training data. So can I say performance on the training data? I mean, we train on our training data, right? So let's say we have a textbook. So we train on a textbook. If anything is asked from the textbook, most probably you will answer correctly or not. If a MCQ is asked from the textbook, most probably you will answer correctly. Yes. However, if a MCQ question is asked outside of the textbook, you may struggle. So over here, if a question is asked from your training set, on the set on which you have trained, that performance will be called your training score, because it is the performance on that set on which you have already trained. Okay, on which you have already trained. And the performance on a set on which you have not trained, on which you have on a set that you have never ever seen before. Okay, the performance on that set will be called my testing set. Fine. So if anything was asked from the textbook, did Chatur score very high? If anything was asked from the textbook, will Chatur score very high? Yes or no? Chatur did score very high, right? In 3 Idiots, Chatur did score very high. What about Rancho? I think Rancho scored a little less than Chatur, right? Usually he scored a little less, something like 97. On the other hand, Farhan, did he score where? In engineering, if you ask a question that is inside of it, did he score well? No, he was not a good engineering student. He scored something like 50, right? So as Akhil says, he did not score it well. Fine. Let us come to a testing set score, or a testing score, I should write it as. Okay, I'll just write it as testing score. One second. Kiran Sai has a question. Kiran says, then should we train all possible types to get exact output? What if we don't train on possible types, as in you are saying train the model on supervised as well as unsupervised? Are you saying that? Are you saying that? No, nobody. So Kiran, you do not have to train on all the types. Depending on the data set, you will choose one type, just one type. So if your data set has features and target both, then you will choose a supervised learning model. If your data set has only features, then you will choose an unsupervised learning model. Make sense? So depending on the type, depending on the data set, you will select your type. If your data set has features and target both, you will choose supervised learning model. If your data set has only features, you will choose unsupervised learning model. Okay, fine. So that is the thing. And now we were talking about the testing score. That means score on a set that the student has never seen before. So if you ask the question to Chatur that is outside of the textbook, did he score high? Did he score good marks? If you ask the question to Chatur that is outside of the textbook, no, right? As Mir says, Chatur over here did not score high. If you ask the question that is outside of the textbook, so he scored something like, let's say 60 or whatever, 60%, let's say. On the other hand, if you ask Rancho a question that is outside of the textbook, did he score high or not? Yes, Rancho scored very high, right? So here, let's say the Rancho score is something like 95. On the other hand, if you ask Farhan a question that is outside of the textbook, if you ask him an engineering question that is outside of the textbook, did he score high? No, Farhan was not interested in engineering, so he did not score high. So he scored something like, let's say 40% or so. So when your training score and your testing score both is low, that case, that scenario is called underfitting. Okay, that scenario is called underfitting. So here I can say that the student is underfitting. Okay, or in terms of model, I will say that the model is underfitting. If my training score is high, but my testing score is low, that scenario is called overfitting. Okay, so now tell me, if you want to hire a candidate, will you hire a candidate that is overfitting or underfitting? If you want to hire in your company, let's say Veda has started a company, then Veda says, no, I will not hire a person who is overfitting or underfitting. Similarly, we don't want a model that is overfitting or underfitting. Okay. When we are talking about a model also, we never want a model that is overfitting or underfitting. So in case if it is overfitting, then what to do? Let us see that. In case if it is overfitting, what should we do in that case? Let us see that. Over here, we'll just take an analogy. Okay. Suppose over here we have, what is your name? Veda, right? Okay. So we'll take a student Veda. So suppose Veda is preparing for Olympics. Okay. So Veda is preparing in a training facility. She's preparing in a training facility for archery. Let's say that training facility is a closed hall or whatever. So Veda's coach says that, when you're releasing your arrow in archery, make sure that your arrow is in line with your target. Okay. So make sure that your arrow is making a, let's say 0-degree angle from your target. When Veda follows that advice, so here I've drawn Veda, let's say this is Veda, excuse the drawing, but suppose this is Veda. And okay, if she releases an arrow that is in line with the target, she will hit bullseye. So let's say if someone hits in the middle, they get 100 points. If someone hits in the outer circle, they get 50. If someone hits in the outermost, they get 30 points. So here Veda will get how many points? She will get 100 because she is hitting the arrow exactly in the middle. Right? So she will get 100 points. So can I say this is Veda's score in the training facility? Yes. So that means this is her training score. So here her training score is very high, something like 100. On the other hand, when Veda will go to Olympics, right? When Veda will go to Olympics over here, let's say if she follows the same coach's advice. that she keeps her arrow at a 10-degree angle, at a 0-degree angle from her target. Then Olympics in when we are talking about archery in Olympics is performed in open grounds. Is there a possibility that due to wind, the arrow might deviate? Possible that Veda's arrow might deviate? Yes. So now this will be Veda's score in Olympics. That means in conditions that she is not aware of. That means this is her testing score. So now her testing score is low, something like 30. So this scenario is called what? That your training score is high, but your testing score is low. What is this scenario called? Overfitting, right? As Kiran Sai, Mihir and Akhil, Veda, everyone is saying, it is called overfitting. So how could we prevent overfitting? So this idea that I am about to convey to you will remain the same for all predictive models. The way to do it will be different, but the logic behind it will be the same. Let us see the logic, how to prevent overfitting. Okay, so now let's say in the second year when Veda will try, her coach has realized this mistake. So her coach says that now whenever you are training in your training facility, make sure that you do not keep a 0-degree angle. Okay, there is no 0-degree angle from your target. Make sure that you release your arrow at a 10-degree angle. Okay, so now the her coach says that release your arrow at a 10-degree angle. When she does that, she hits the target over here. So now her training score is low, right? Her training score is something like 30, right? Her training score is low. Now when she will go to Olympics, over here, and she follows the coach's advice that release your arrow at a 10-degree angle, is there a slight possibility that because of wind, the target might deviate and you hit bullseye? Slight possibility, possible, yes. So now her testing score, so there's a score in Olympics in conditions that she is not aware of. So there's a testing score. Now her testing score is 100. So what do we care about? Do we care more score in Olympics or do we care more score in your training facility? If you are an athlete, obviously you are concerned about more score on the Olympics, right? More score on the Olympics. So how did we achieve that? So earlier, that means when I say you are interested in more score in Olympics, that means you are interested in more testing score. More testing score, that is what you want. So earlier I was having a lower testing score. You can see it was 30. Now I am having a higher testing score. You can see it is 100. How did I achieve that? Can I say I deliberately reduce my training score so that my testing score increases? Earlier, my training score was 100. I deliberately reduced it to 30 just so that my testing score increases. Yes, that is what I did. The same process will follow for all the models. The way to do it will be different. So ahead, you will see models whenever you will learn about these models, machine learning model or deep learning model. The same concept will follow. The idea behind it will be the same, but the way to do it will be different. Okay, the way to do it will be different. Fine. So that was the AI concepts for today. Any doubts regarding to the AI concepts? Today we just needed to cover the basic AI concepts. Okay. And in the lectures, in our lectures, in the virtual lectures, what we'll be doing is we'll be diving into the depths of each of these concepts and we'll be seeing how to use these concepts in our model. Okay. Any doubts for today, guys? So I think we already have a lecture. I think there are people from our AI batch also. Right? So your AI batch will start from 7. So those people, so in your batch, will be seeing how to work with these concepts and how to build these models. Okay. I hope the concepts made sense and the reasoning behind it made sense. So that was all for today, guys. Any doubts? Anything? Anything? That was it for this webinar. Today we just wanted to cover the basic concepts in AI. Any doubts? Anything that you want to ask? Anything, guys? How robotics and AI work with each other? Okay. So this basically, guys, AI, as I said, has many subfields, out of which machine learning and deep learning are the major subfields. But there are other subfields also, like robotics. So in order to discuss about robotics, I mean, I won't go into the too much depth, but the you can say the popular type of model in robotics is reinforcement learning. Okay, so how it works is it works on the basis of trial and error. Not trial and error, it works on the basis of rewards and punishments. So for example, if my model is doing okay, my model is pretty okay, I will just give a signal to the model that keep on doing, I'll just give a reward, which will just be a signal to the model that keep on doing what you are doing. Okay, so that is like a reward. So the model will know that the path that it is taking is correct. On the other hand, uh, I can also give a punishment. Punishment means a signal to the model. That means don't do what you are doing, take another route. Okay, so it's like a punishment. It is basically a signal. So with that signal, model will understand that okay, I should not take this approach, I should take another route. So the most popular type in robotics is this reinforcement learning. Okay, whereas the popular types over here in machine learning and deep learning, I've already talked about unsupervised and supervised. Whereas if we are talking about a field called robotics, the most popular type over there is called reinforcement learning. Okay, so that is how it works. Is this a series of lectures? No, Mir, this was a separate webinar. So I think Mir, you are part of our AI batch. I recognize your name, I'm not sure. So this was free for everyone. Okay, so everybody could enroll over here and learn the basic concepts. So this will not be a series of lectures. So basically for AI, we just have this one webinar. Virgio has other webinars too. So it will be a 1 hour where you can attend. Okay, but so in that sense, yes, it is a series, but for AI, we just have one webinar. For AI, we just have one. And Abhinav says how to reduce overfitting. Abhinav, that means you're saying how to make it better, how to make underfitting better. We just make another model. We just make another model. It's like over here, suppose if, let's say I am Farhan, okay? I am having a very bad training score and I am having a very bad testing score. Can I say I will train myself more? Yes. Can I say that I will train myself more, Abhinav? How can I do that? First is I can take more examples. In this case, examples means what? Each row in the data set acts like an example. So how to improve this? How to improve this case? How to make Farhan better? We could teach him more examples. That means that if we are talking about the model, we'll give him more examples. That means we'll give him more rows. So that will help. Okay. The other thing is your approach could be different. Your approach of teaching, like over your training or whatever. So your approach of training could be different. So in that case, the model settings that we are applying, that will change. So only two things that we can do to improve or underfitting. First is we can pass more examples. And the second thing is we can change the model settings. Okay, but in case of overfitting, we do not need to pass more examples because it seems like the model is training correctly. It is just that he is memorizing. Okay, so for that we just need to change the model settings. So for underfitting, if we need to improve underfitting, then we'll need to pass more examples as well as we need to change our model settings. Whereas for overfitting, as we saw just now, we just needed to do some model settings. Okay, so like in that example that I showed you, I just needed to apply a setting that when I release my arrow, I release it at a degree of 10. I release it at an angle of 10 degrees. Okay, so basically in overfitting, underfitting, you do some model settings. Apart from that, in underfitting, you also make sure that if possible, if you can pass more examples to the model, that will be great. So that is what we do. And what were the previous doubts? Will there be more webinar based on AI? I think so. Yes, there will be, but currently there is just one. Maybe in the coming few weeks, there will be more. But yeah, they have other webinars on machine learning and the other topics. So if you want to attend, you can attend. Okay. And Abhinav says model setting means different. No, not different algorithm. Okay, not different algorithm. It is just that setting. See, I think you must not be aware about Python classes, right? I think you are not aware about Python. So I will, if I will talk about technical terms you won't understand. So just understand it as settings. In technical terms, if I try to explain it, we have parameters in a class. If anybody is familiar with a concept called Python class, there are parameters, right? Yes, there are parameters. So it is just that we pass some values to the parameters. They are called arguments. So when I say change the settings, what I mean is change the arguments. That is what I mean. So to the model, we'll pass some arguments. So what we'll be doing is if we am saying change the model settings, I will change the arguments to the parameters. Okay, arguments means the values that I'm passing to the parameters. So in short, changing the values of the parameters is what I mean. In technical terms, when we'll be coding, okay, when I will be coding the model, we'll just change the values of the parameters. That is what it means. So changing model setting means changing the value of the parameter. Have you heard of something called hyperparameter tuning? So when I say changing the values of parameters, you might have heard of something called hyperparameter tuning. That is what it means. Okay, finding the best parameter value. That is what that process is used for. So when I say changing model settings, it means changing the values of the parameters. So how to know what is the best parameter value? We use a process called hyperparameter tuning. Okay, where we try building the model with different parameters. We see that, okay, with parameters so and so, I will try to build a model. I will again build another model with different parameter values. Likewise, I could build 50, 100 or 1,000 different models. Then I will see that which model is performing the best. I will see that, okay, the second model that I built was the best, okay, in terms of score. So what were the parameters that were used in that model? That is how I'll find out what is the best parameter value. So when I say change the settings, that means I am saying changing the parameter values. That is what it means. All right. So anything else? I think I've missed some previous doubts also. Let me see. What are the previous doubts? 1 second. I think from here, okay, I think I've already taken this out. How robotics and AI work. What is the next thing? Okay, have I missed something? If I missed anything, do ping me now, because there were a lot of private messages, so I'm not able to recollect. Okay, if I've missed anything, do ping me now. I will see it. Okay. Anything that I've missed? Okay, if you have anything over here, do let me know. Or I think that is it for today. Okay. What is a base model? Okay, so basically over here it uses some, I mean, to understand base model, you will have to study it fully, but in just basic words, we can say that we use some we use some statistics, we use some summary statistics to build a model. In order to understand it, obviously you'll have to go into the depths, but yeah, that is what I can explain to you in 1 or 2 lines. In order to understand it, okay, I think Satish, you are part of our lecture, right? Our AI batch, if I'm not wrong. If I'm not wrong, I recognize your name. I don't know. Yes, right. So we'll study there. We'll study in depth over there. What is our base model? Okay, so fine. There we'll have time. Currently, we don't in our webinar. Does AI only involve training? So Veda, AI, when I say AI, what I mean is we build some models. So a model serves 2 purposes, just 2. It is used for making some prediction, and it is used for getting some insights from the data. Okay. So do you, I mean, if you have searched a term called data scientist, have you searched jobs for data scientists anywhere? Yes, right. Do you see sometimes they ask that, okay, they should know machine learning. Also, they should know things like Tableau and all. With Tableau, what do? You get insights. With machine learning, what do? You make predictions. Okay, so basically, when I say a model, it is used to do just 2 things: predictions, and second thing, it is used to get insight. So you can take any machine learning model, it serves 2 purposes, just these 2, nothing else. Fine. So that is it for today, guys. The other students will meet in our batch at 7. Okay. I hope the other students who are new have understood the concept. Okay. So that was it for today, guys. Okay. And if you have anything to add, yes, welcome Ramya, welcome Akash. So bye, guys. Bye. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, you can just type Smith Shah Versio, okay, and we can connect. If you have any doubts, you can ask me over there. So bye, guys. Bye.
Thank you everyone for attending. Once again, thank you Smith for hosting the session. Those of you who are new, thank you for coming here in this session and listening Smith for the first time. If you are interested in the AI course, please get in touch with our team and you would be able to take full use of it. You'll be having the classes out there. In the next series of webinar that is out, that is tomorrow, it's going to be hosted by Sunil Suresh, who's a beatboxer. He's India's Got Talent Season 5 semi-finalist. He's been in the circuit in Bangalore for about 10 years now, beatboxing. So he'll be talking about you too can beatbox. So please tune in to 6 p.m. tomorrow. Thank you once again. If you really loved the AI session for today, that's Age of AI, please reach out to us for registrations. And I'm pretty sure Smith sir is really out there helping you out. Thank you very much.